Hey everybody, it's Stacy with Kzoo Keto, and we are stuck at home, self-quarantined, even though we're not sick that we know of. And St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner, so I came across a recipe for some green cookies. There's shamrock cookies, but I'm not making shamrocks. I'm putting my Game of Thrones cookie cutters to use for the very first time in 3 years. Anyway, they have a superfood in them called Chlorella powder. I'll list down below the benefits of it in the description box of the video. Also, you can check out our Nut Stop video. They sent us a bunch of things, and that's what we're using, is the Nut Stop Chlorella powder. These cookies are called Shamrock Chlorella Coconut Butter Cookies. They are from a website called sunchlorellausa.com. Yes, it is a website that sells chlorella powder. They have a ton of recipes on there, and I'm going to try out a bunch of them. This is one of them. Seems pretty straightforward. This is my first time making these, being I like to call myself an experienced baker. I'm not too worried about it. I am going to alter the recipe a little bit because it does call for regular flour. If you're using almond flour in place of regular flour, you can do that, but you may need to up your binding ingredients. So because of that, I'm going to add in some xanthan gum. But here's what you need to make these cookies. It's pretty simple. You just need butter, vanilla, coconut oil, the xanthan gum that I'm adding, almond flour, brown sugar alternative, and then of course the chlorella powder. First thing, of course, is always preheat your oven. 350 degrees. I already have my cookie sheets pre-set with my silicone mat. So we're going to take the butter, we're going to throw it in. It's a cup of butter. We're going to throw it in the mixer. They want you to have it room temperature. I did put it in the microwave a little bit because room temperature around here isn't quite that warm because it is still March.
Thought she was going to dig at me about keeping the temperature too low.
Well, and there's that. And it also calls for salted butter. I don't ever have salted butter for baking because usually you don't use salted butter in baking. So I do have our pink salt, and I'm just going to put a couple pinches of that in there. And then we're going to beat the butter until it's smooth. Once the butter's smooth, we're going to put in our coconut oil. I did also put this in the microwave a little bit because it says room temperature, and again, ours is room temperature for what our temperature is, and it's not very warm.
68, guys. It's room temperature.
So it wasn't very pliable. It was still very, like, chunky. And then we're going to continue beating it until smooth. And I'm going to scrape down the sides. So this is what it looks like once you get your butter and your coconut oil all mixed up in a smooth fashion. Next ingredients, 2/3 of a cup of your brown sugar alternative. We use Lakanto. I'm also going to put in a half a teaspoon of the xanthan gum that I talked about as a thickening agent. We have 3 teaspoons of vanilla extract. It calls for 5 to 6 grams of chlorella powder. This is 6 grams.
Smell like you're sniffing
Chlorella powder is a single cell algae, so if you get a little bit of a briny smell, that's why.
You activated Lucy. Let me come smell it. Yeah, that's weird.
It smells like a fish tank. Or did you ever have sea monkeys as a kid? That's what it smells like. It smells like the sea monkeys. So 5 to 6 grams is a lot more than I thought it was going to be. We're going to get that all poured in there, and we're going to get it mixed up. After that's all mixed together and it gets that lovely green color that you saw, it's a way to get green colored food without adding food coloring. We're going to mix in 1 cup of flour at a time. I'm going to scrape down the sides. All right. I smell the sugar. I smell the vanilla. And I smell it smells good. Let's do this. I got it all.
Sea monkeys are gone?
Well, I mean, the smell of the sea monkeys are gone.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what's most important.
I didn't like the way the dough turned out, so I added another half teaspoon of xanthan gum. And then I also ended up adding 3/4 of a cup of coconut flour because it just, for cutout cookie. It just was way too sticky. So this is what you end up with. Have you ever made sugar cookies before? And this is what it really smells like, even though they're butter cookies, which I've made those before too. They always require refrigeration before rolling and cutting into the shapes. This is still a very, very soft dough, even though I've added all the stuff that I've added to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the fridge for about an hour, and then we'll come back and see what it's like. Okay, it has been maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours since we put this in the fridge. It forms into a nice dough ball. We're gonna break off about 1/3 of it. And then we're gonna roll it out. And I'm gonna do this with parchment paper because I don't have a silicone rolling pin. So I don't want it to stick to my rolling pin. You're gonna roll it to about 1/4 of an inch. And I'm gonna start out, since it is for shamrock stuff, I'm gonna start out with the shamrock cookie cutters. It's still not the standard sugar cookie dough, obviously. And I just separated my stem. Again.
We'll use a stem.
We'll do a little bit of surgery.
I'd say go stemless. I like braless.
It'll stick. So I've made my cookies. One thing you're probably gonna wanna do, this dough gets warm really fast, so in between you'll probably wanna put it back in the fridge. I didn't do that, but I'm going to roll this last bit out on a quarter size silicone mat cookie sheet and just make a giant cookie bar out of it. We're gonna put these in the oven for 17 to 19 minutes. And we'll check on them. They're done. 17 minutes was the trick for us. They didn't retain a whole lot of the green color because they do turn kind of brown around the edges. But we're gonna just take them off of the cookie sheet and put them on these wire racks to let them cool completely before we try them. Okay, they're done, they're cooled off, and I have one that broke as I was transferring it. So, perfect one to try.
Not bad. I expected them to be kind of eh. They're actually pretty decent. They taste like a sugar cookie.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, at the end there, I got a little bit of that chlorella.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. But, I mean, at the end.
So they're not terrible.
No, they're good.
But
You don't really like sugar cookies, though, do you?
I'm not the biggest fan of sugar cookies, but
I do.
I'm just saying, at the end, comes in the fish food flavor a little bit. Fish tank. Sea monkeys. We're eating sea monkeys.
No. I don't really get that.
You don't get it?
Mm-mm.
I do.
I mean, there's...
Maybe it's the coconut. I don't know.
I think it might be. I get coconut. I get the coconut. I think that might be part of your issue.
I'm not a fan of anything with coconut oil in it. So if you like coconut, I think you'd really like these.
Yeah, these are good. I like them. Coconut or other coconut. They're decent.
I think they're dry.
Yes, but I mean, they're sugar cookies, so...
They're sugar cookies, yeah, they're dry. They need something, they need like an icing or something. Some kind of fun dip or something like that.
I'm sure that icing you had for the Oreo truffles would probably be good.
It probably would. If you put it in the microwave and like have it be runny.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll be really good.
These are decent.
All right.
I eat them, especially because they're healthy for you-ish, you know, right?
Right.
Good.
Yep. We'll have the macros for these down below, but I strongly recommend if you make them yourself, calculate your own macros. Just because I had to add so many things to it to make it work.
What would you do differently if you had to do it all over again?
Not make them cut out cookies.
Just make bars?
I would just either make bars or I would just drop them on a plate. Drop them on the pan.
Drop them on the pan?
Yeah.
Just like make regular cookies?
Yeah, just like take a tablespoon and just drop them on the pan, like drop cookies.
What about the recipe? Would you change anything with the recipe?
I think I would go back and use the original recipe. Well, not the original because it wasn't keto, but the one that I keto-ized in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I would go back and do that and see how they turn out. There's a stem.
Oh, I see. You're saying rather than doing the cookie cutouts, just make the thing.
That's a little done.
Yeah. A little extra done. If they're not green, you probably don't want to eat it.
Yeah, the bottom of the oven is a little hotter
Yeah.
than the top oven.
Yeah.
For some
Same
reason.
amount of time, but our ovens are obviously off a little bit. All right, guys. So that's the verdict on these cookies. Check out that. What is it called again?
What?
The ingredient, the algae.
Chlorella.
Chlorella. So check out the Chlorella. We talk about it a lot more in our Nut Stop video, so make sure you check that out. And as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for clicking that bell for you get notifications when we put out new videos. And as always,
stay keto.
We'll see you.
Hey everybody, it's Stacy with Kzoo Keto, and today we are making some interesting cookies. They are shit.
They're shit cookies. I do not want to eat any shit cookies.
I can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. The allergies are messing with my brain functions. Daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo, I don't know. I can't handle us. Aw, this wasn't thick enough.
That's what she said.